Hey folks, Michael Collins again from EnviroReporter.com on Monday, October 3rd. What you're looking at is the aggregate that we vacuumed off those two HEPA filters at Radiation Station. And I wasn't going to do a 10-minute average on it, but when I ran the inspector over it, it gave me such a high reading that I felt that we're going to actually do an average. So here we go. We're going to turn it on. 100% calibrated. 10-minute time. That's about the normal amount of clicking here right now, but we'll find out for sure. Here we go. Now, if you're wondering why this video should be of any interest to you, and you live in Southern California, well, guess what? You're breathing this air, just like we are too. That's why we have HEPA filters. To get this stuff out of our air. This is the aggregate amount of dust. I mashed it into that sampling tray from the two HEPA filters, Honeywell and KENMORE, two different brands, and 53 days worth of dust. As I said in the last video, Los Angeles generally has not gotten any rain on the jet stream, which would bring us radionuclides from Fukushima as it has the rest of the country that has been rained on by the jet stream, which doesn't include the southwest here, not too much. We have the chance of it in the next couple of days, and that might give us our first real strong taste of Fukushima fallout and rain. As I spoke about on the radio tonight, the Jeff Rent's program, the Japanese have seen in their infinite wisdom that they're going to burn 500,000 metric tons of radioactive rubble from the Fukushima area and from the earthquakes. They're going to bring this stuff to Tokyo, and they're going to incinerate it and let it out high smokestacks. Well, what that does is it volatilizes a lot of the radiation that's in the rubble that has fallen down onto the rubble. You can't burn radiation away. You could just put it places. And so what this will do is a lot of this radiation will go up in the air as gas, and it will get on the jet stream, and it will come over to America. And even while the Fukushima Daiichi triple meltdown, triple melt-throughs, triple meltouts continue uncontrolled, we're going to get a double dose of it with all this debris being incinerated and sent our way. Now, the readings that we're going to get here will certainly be over background, but they don't compare to some of the readings across the United States. In the last 10 days, our colleague in St. Charles, Missouri, north of St. Louis, Porter Blog, he has detected 178 times background in the rain there. We've had detections of over 100 times background in the Toronto area and in Winnipeg. We've had incredibly high detections in the Pacific Northwest, with fears that plutonium-239 could have been in some of that fallout that those people, unbeknownst to them, were subjected to. And so now the rain approaches Los Angeles. This isn't from the rain. This is from the ambient dust. Now, I'll say one thing that you've seen us do over the half year plus now since the disaster began, is you've seen us test our HEPA filters several times. And you see how we vacuumed them out, and then we test this aggregate here. I wasn't going to do it this time, but yeah, I broke down and did it. What we're doing is we're also making the HEPA filters, and I never know how to say it right. Denise tells me the right way. It's either HEPA or HEPA. but I think it's HEPA. When we vacuum them out like this, not only can we measure them here with our detector, which now we have reached background, we've blown right through it. Background in here right now in radiation station with this device is 38.7 counts per minute, and what we're doing here is 10-minute average, so the final count there we will divide by 10. It's plus minus 15% accuracy, so it could be 15% more than what we detect or 15% less. If 15% less of the total that we're adding up here now goes below what our background reading was, or is at our background reading, then we consider it background, even though it could possibly be much higher. Now, even with my talking, I'm sure you can hear the clicking. I've had to get the detector very close to this sample to be able to get the full read of it, which suggests high alpha concentrations. I've had some people, armchair quarterbacks so to speak, try to say that some of the stuff we've detected has been radon progeny coming down in the rain, and that's what we're detecting. Well, that's not the case. That does happen in rain samples. You have to pretty much be very careful about not mistaking gas from radium, uranium, and thorium, the earth, and the decay sequence that leads to radon, radon in the atmosphere, and then the breakdown of radon, throwing our measurements, that we're not measuring just radon progeny or radon daughters. Well, this is a solid here. This is dust. This doesn't have to do with the gas. This has to do with air particulates that our HEPA filters have cleaned up. And thankfully, we didn't breathe. Now, I'm sure that they didn't catch everything, but radiation exposure is cumulative. And some of these really frightening radionuclides like cesium-137 have a half-life theoretically of about 30 years. In reality, in many cases, it's a lot longer. So you want to reduce your exposure to them as much as possible. Now, I can tell you now that we're already higher than the last measurements we took of our HEPA filter and HEPA filters. We're higher than the spot checks that you saw. How much higher? We'll find out when that machine beeps 3 times. 3 times. What Denise and I do is what you should be doing too if you're concerned about this. Try to lower your exposure to radiation. For example, if you want to go swimming in the ocean, it'd be good to know if the ocean's been impacted by radiation. You would have to have a device that would tell you. Yesterday we went to Santa Monica Beach and jumped in the water and had a heck of a time, and then took the water that was in Denise's bikini and tested it. I can report to you that the bikini was hot, very hot. However, there was no added radiation in it. It came in at background, so Santa Monica Bay, as of yesterday, according to our detecting, was just fine. This, however, 53 days of accumulated dust from 2 HEPA filters, is considerably over background. And soon enough, the jet stream will be here. Now, just because Los Angeles hasn't been rained on with black rain, hot radioactive rain, doesn't mean that we're not drinking water that's been impacted by radionuclides in the form of runoff from the mountains and snow. However, your government has seen fit not to run any special Fukushima meltdown related tests. This is a special Fukushima related meltdown radiation test. We're now over 200% of normal. And let me tell you, background radiation, it comes from alpha and beta particles, but mostly it comes from gamma in many cases. That is cosmic radiation from the stars. It is radiation from the Earth in the form of uranium, thorium, and radium. Now here we have our final read. So for 10 minutes we have 836. That works out to be 830.6, 83.6 counts per minute. And I'll tell you what it's coming in. If you bear with me and hold on. So yes, this is 216% of normal. 216% of normal. Over double normal. And this is not from gamma radiation. This is from alpha and beta particulates. The overage is. And that is not good. This is part of our continuing coverage of the Fukushima Daiichi meltdowns, melt-throughs and melt-outs in Japan and their impact on the United States, North America, Canada, and Mexico. Thanks for watching. You might want to consider getting HEPA filters, machines, air cleaning machines, to keep the air where you're at most of the time, which would be at your home and in your office. You might want to consider getting these machines. You can see here right now what they captured and what Denise and I didn't have to breathe. Thanks, and check back often in ViralReporter.com.